Welcome to American Outdoors. In this episode, we are wading into the 5 key stages in the life cycle of a hurricane. A brief definition of a hurricane is a powerful cyclone that forms over warm ocean waters in tropical or subtropical regions, usually between June and November. Warm ocean water with a surface temperature of at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit rises and forms clouds as it cools, creating a low-pressure center. The system begins to spin due to the Coriolis effect and will grow vertically and strengthen if wind shear is low. It is characterized by a rotating system of thunderstorms, strong winds, and heavy rains, with the most intense activity near the storm center. As they develop, a hurricane is graded by different levels of organization and intensity. They are as follows. The first stage is known as a tropical disturbance. It begins as a cluster of thunderstorms with a defined area of low pressure, but lacks the organization of a tropical cyclone. At this early point, the storm mass will have no organized circulation, defined center, or wind pattern. Wind speeds in a tropical disturbance are typically low, usually less than 23 miles per hour. Its growth depends on low wind shear and high humidity, giving it the potential to evolve to the next level. Tropical disturbances are fairly commonplace, with dozens forming each season. An average of 14 will elevate to the next level. During a tropical depression, a closed circular pattern forms, and winds begin to spiral inward. It is considered a weak low-pressure system with sustained winds below 39 miles per hour. Also, tropical depressions aren't named. Upon forming, the National Hurricane Center assigns a number only. When looking at weather radar, depressions will still appear a bit lopsided, although the beginning of some rotation will be present. If they should make landfall, they can generate heavy rains and flooding, rough surf, and dangerous riptides along coastal areas. By the way, the word hurricane comes from a Spanish adaptation of hurricane, a god of storms from the indigenous Taino tribes of the Caribbean. At the point it reaches the level of a tropical storm, it qualifies for its own name. It has become more uniform, with winds between 39 and 73 miles per hour, more than enough to knock down trees and power lines and damage structures. While it may not yet have a clearly defined eye, the surrounding circulation and rotation with bands of thunderstorms spiraling around a center of low pressure will be obvious. Rain bands associated with the storm can stretch hundreds of miles from the center and can push seawater inland, creating storm surges. Tropical storms can also produce tornadoes, which are usually short-lived but dangerous. The storm's mass can range from 60 to over 1,200 miles in diameter. A tropical storm becomes a hurricane once sustained wind speeds exceed 74 miles per hour, and the cloud has developed a clear eye with strong rotation. The Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale categorizes hurricanes on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most severe. A Category 1 hurricane will have winds ranging from 74 to 95 miles per hour. Damage to older mobile homes and poorly constructed frame-built homes will likely be severe. Chimneys, trees, and power lines will come down, and livestock, pets, and humans are at risk for injury or death from flying debris. The sustained wind speed during a Category 2 hurricane will range from 96 to 110 miles per hour. There is no understating the substantial risk of injury or death to both humans and animals. Both older and newer mobile homes have a high likelihood of being destroyed, while roof, siding, and window damage should be expected of frame-built homes, as well as commercial structures. Near total power loss should be expected with outages that could last from several days to weeks. Potable water could become scarce as filtration systems begin to fail. Steady winds from 110 miles per hour up to 129 miles per hour qualify a hurricane as a Category 3. Beyond the extreme damage to homes and businesses, torrential rainfall and storm surges 9 to 12 feet above tide levels pose a lethal threat. Debris of all sizes will become airborne flying projectiles capable of penetrating walls. A Category 3 is a major threat to life and often entails mandatory evacuation. The noise level produced by such a storm is deafening, between 100 and 120 decibels, and comparable to standing next to a freight train passing by or a jet engine taking off. A Category 4 hurricane will have sustained winds from between 130 and 156 miles per hour. The risk of death is extremely high. There is no doubt that catastrophic damage will occur to all structures within the storm. Most trees will be snapped off or uprooted, and downed utility poles will isolate residential areas and hamper rescue. At this level, flying debris can include portions of buildings and even vehicles. This is enough to lift homes from their foundations and wash away bridges. And just to provide some context, the Galveston, Texas hurricane of 1900 was a Category 4 that claimed an estimated 8,000 lives. A Category 5 hurricane is the most intense and destructive classification of tropical cyclones on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. There is no course of action other than evacuation. With sustained wind speeds of 157 miles per hour or higher, Category 5 hurricanes cause catastrophic damage to infrastructure, the environment, and human life. Landscapes will be stripped bare of vegetation, and recovery from such a storm can take years. Examples of North American Category 5 hurricanes are Andrew in 1992 and Katrina in 2005. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale is based on a hurricane's present intensity. This scale only addresses the wind speed and does not consider the potential for other hurricane-related impacts, such as storm surges, rainfall-induced floods, and tornadoes. The final stage of a hurricane is known as dissipation or extratropical transition. Once a hurricane moves over cooler seas or land, it loses its main energy source, warm ocean water, and begins to weaken. Its symmetrical, organized shape will break up as it merges with other frontal systems, downgrading to a tropical storm or tropical depression, and eventually dissipates. However, as it transitions, it may continue to pass over the mainland, breaking up and spreading out into smaller storms. These storms may still carry high winds, with heavy rainfall and flooding. Whether young or old, it is a good idea to have important personal documents, such as ID, medical information, and contact numbers, secured in a waterproof container. Thanks for watching American Outdoors, and be sure to check out our channel for more interesting and informative videos. You can also find us on Facebook, X, and Pinterest. We appreciate your comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. As always, so long, and we'll see you again soon.